Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.
Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to give the video a big thumbs up and share the broadcast. That way notifications are generated and sent out to others. That's so important, because how many of you all know that there are sometimes efforts to prevent others from knowing about the independent Black grassroots media. So when you are intentional about sharing and engaging, this helps us to overcome just some of those obstacles. And also don't forget that you can download the app for African Diaspora News Channel. You got that right. We have our own app, beloved. It's professional. There's so much information in it. And sometimes some commentary that you can't get here online due to certain restrictions, you can find there pretty much uncensored. And that's so important because we speak to the needs of the African or the Black diaspora. Yes, thank you so very much. Family, I want to talk about something from a little bit of a different perspective. Sometime back, I did a piece regarding the Black Hebrew Israelites that were in Israel. And this was long before the incident of October 7th. And I was disheartened because some of the Black Israelis were being apparently unjustly deported. And so that was something else. I'll just put it that way. And so I was disheartened by that. So I wanted to discuss our brothers and sisters that are there. Well, how many of you all know there's a lot that's going on in the world, particularly in the Middle East? But I think it's interesting, a little perspective. I want to share with you on something that I'm thinking. And I came across this article from the Times of Israel. And it was last year, so it's pretty relevant. But the headline says, "Shedding image as bystanders to history, Ethiopian Jews reclaim their Exodus saga." Well, in reading this, it says about how it took time for this story to be set straight. And it says that more than 40 years after Beta Israel, as the Ethiopian Jewish community is also known, was airlifted to Israel in a series of rescue operations deemed heroic and historic, the community, it says, is still experiencing poverty, racism, and ongoing struggle for full acceptance in the Jewish homeland. Eyed with suspicion by the ruling Orthodox establishment, which has questioned their Jewishness, community members face police brutality, discrimination at some semi-private religious schools that refuse to admit them, and significant disadvantages in the job market, even for second-generation Ethiopian Israelis. It says that to many in the community, the prejudice extends even to the way the story of their exodus to Israel is told, a narrative that until now has portrayed Ethiopians as helpless bystanders who were rescued only when Israel and North American Jews stepped in. Now, family, look, let me tell you something. Y'all can tell just by the way I'm talking right now that your sister with the curly braids, my mind is going strongly here. Now, you all know I have discussed some of the wars that's going on, the Tigray War. I've discussed some things that were taking place in Eritrea, which y'all know I have extreme respect for the illustrious, His Excellency President Afwerki. Yes. So in the West, in the United States, her allies, they've been doing a whole lot of mess making. And you all know that, you know, I really started to do a type of commentary that most weren't doing when I started to cover a lot of what's happening within the United States Congress and policy throughout the world, and these secret policies that were going on between policymakers, these think tanks that influence government leaders around the world, and how they were plotting against the continent. Yes. And other Black nations like Haiti, the Caribbean, of certainly those of us that are still in the United States of America, there's still a geopolitical connection there. Yes. Well, for example, with the this article I'm reading from the Council of Foreign Relations, which they are a very suspect think tank. These are people that influence lawmakers, government leaders, and they claim that they're some third party think tank, but in fact, in some cases, the money in which they are funded is suspicious. And these are people that have power with the politicians in ways I don't think that they should have, because they're the ones that really set geopolitical or global standards and policies. So there's a headline that says here, just from last year, from them, that says conflict in Ethiopia. And it starts by talking about how in the aftermath of the war between the Ethiopian central government and the northernmost region of Tigray, Ethiopian is once again engaged in violent internal conflict. It says this time involving militia groups from the regions of Amhara and Oromai. It talks about how the conflicts emerged in these two different regions in 2021, the spring. It goes on to talk about the background of the Ethiopian fought a war. It says with the militants from its northernmost region of Tigray, then under the control of the Tigrayan People's Liberation, the TPLF, on and on. Yes, there's a whole lot to that. And they talk about decades before that, how the TPLF were the dominant political force in Ethiopia in 1991 and so forth. There's a lot of details and historical stuff. Well, it's interesting because whenever we talk about the war that's happening in the Middle East, they always like to put a spiritual and religious context to it. Yes? Well, I'm someone, whenever I use spiritual text, and by the way, I'm a spiritual teacher, I use multiple different sacred texts, but I use it as a book of magic, which means that because some of the sacred texts, even the ones that you consider to be the most holy, because they're oftentimes corrupt and they come from even greater ancient and even Black matrilineal prophecies, there's some issues there. But the way in which the United States government in particular is using this, they like to quote, for example, Ezekiel chapter 38. And they talk about Gog and Magog, which is Russia and China. And then they talk about Persia, which is modern Iran. But the part of that same text they like to skip, which when it specifically talks about in the book, in Ezekiel 38, it specifically names Egypt, Cush, Upper Egypt, Lower Egypt, Babylonia, and some of the other areas and regions that have everything to do with our Ethiopian Jewish family. Just some food for thought. Do you think that one of the reasons why they start so much hell between the Ethiopians and the Tigrayan war and their brothers and sisters next door to them, and the reason why they're still experiencing so much racism and drama in their supposed homeland, is because the powers that be know they're part of prophecy? And they're trying to keep that quiet. I know this is a whole different spin, but I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. My name is Vicki Dillard, beloved. If you want these types of insights and prophetic teachings and more, join my spiritual school for a very low cost of the Vicki Dillard Mystery School at my website at VickiPlanet.com. That's VICKI planet.com, VickiPlanet.com. I can't wait to see you again.